play. A lot of people have made attempts at reducing the incident led to the removal of Mr. Obasa as a Speaker of the Lagos State Assembly to the politics of 2027. But for me, as an insider, for me, as somebody who has followed the activities of the House under the leadership of Mr. Obasa from 2015, when he was first elected Speaker of the Assembly, to 2019, when he was elected for the second time, and 2023, he's been elected for the third time as Speaker of the House. We come to realize that there are lots more issues around his leadership than the power play that people have attempted to describe it as. The leadership of Honorable Obasa as the Speaker of the Lagos House Assembly, was characterized with a lot of controversy. This is the first time in the history of Assembly that we have had a leadership that has been most accused of corruption, of high-handedness, of non-punctuality, and other sort of characters that should not be associated with a parliament or a parliamentarian, as the case may be. Mr. Obasa's posture as the Speaker of the Lagos Assembly is such that gave no regard, not just to members, but to citizens. So there were enough grounds, even before now, for Mr. Obasa to have been removed as the Speaker of the Lagos Assembly, and that is why, to some of us, the Assembly even came very late in removing Mr. Obasa, because he was not due to have been re-elected as Speaker in 2023 after what his leadership represented prior to 2023. Remember, sometimes in 2020, there were a series of petitions for financial misappropriation against the same person before he was now re-elected again as Speaker, even though it may have been the decision of his party to have him as their candidate for that position. But one would have expected that they should have been more interested in issues of the integrity of the House, which was already in the mud as at the time Mr. Obasa was removed, and consider someone else for that position.
All right. Some will say as well that, in fact, some of the allegations against him, the man has spoken about it to say, he was said to have erected a gate or something like that to the tune of billions. He said that can never be true. That was alleged to buy units of Hilux vehicle for 1 billion naira each. And he said, how can it be that maybe you just need to call a dog a bad name for you to have something to hang it? That maybe that was what he said. And all of that. Let's now look at the process. We look at the allegation. The man said it was only removed, it wasn't impeached, and he remained Speaker. But by the way, kindly hang in there. I want our viewers to see where he talks about the leadership, especially when he came back and said, I remain the Speaker. Please hang in there. Take a look.
My status in the House, I believe strongly I'm still the Speaker. Yes? You want to ask question? I'm still the Speaker until the right thing has been done. If you want to remove me in the proper way. I will not contest it. Wallahi, I won't contest it. We Muslim, I'm a Muslim. We say if anything happens, you know the lie. Why you know the lie, Roju? I don't know what to do. But let us do it in the way it should be. It should be done.
All right, Mr. Lawson, are you with us, sir? All right, we'll try and reconnect with Mr. Lawson. The man has spoken very categorically to say, I remain the Speaker.
I'm still the Speaker.
You go. Okay, Mr. Lawson, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. Mr. Mudashiru Obasa said, I remain the Speaker. I was only removed. I wasn't impeached. Let's talk about the process that had him removed. He said, how can you remove somebody that is not even there, possibly wasn't given the right to explain and all of those things? Let's look at the process. Was it properly done? And what's the difference between being removed and being impeached?
Well, thank you. I think what Honorable Obasa was trying to display in the public is to confuse, unsuspecting members of the public about what the law says about leadership of the House. In the first place, Mr. Obasa was not impeached. He was removed as the Speaker of the House of Assembly because the law is very clear. Impeachment as a process, and impeachment has to do with removal of elected executive officials. That is the President, the Vice President, the Governor Deputy, Chairman of local government, as the case may be. Because this as process as stipulated by the law. That is, there must be a formal query by the legislature. After this, the accused is allowed to respond. After this, a third party, the judiciary, is called in to investigate the allegations. A report is submitted to the House of Assembly for consideration whether the person be removed, be impeached or not. That is the process. And remember, the process of electing a governor, the deputy president, vice president, chairman of local government, as the case may be, is different because they are directly elected by the mass population of the people, not through collegiate. But in the case of the head of a parliament, the Senate president, the deputy, the speaker, the speaker of House of Assembly, what the law says is removal, because getting them elected and removed is not the same process of electing an executive officer of the state or the government, as the case may be. Mr. Obasa is just an ordinary member of the House, just like every other member. And what the law prescribes is that the members, not even any other person, the members shall among themselves elect a speaker. No condition given, no qualification given. All you need to become a speaker of the House of Assembly is to be a member of the House of Assembly. So the members chose among themselves one of them to lead them. That's first among the equals, not because you are better than any other person. And in removing same, the law also in section 92, subsection C of the Constitution of the Federal Republic, which is superior to every other other rule of other laws of the state, other procedural laws of the assembly, other they are standing orders governing some of these houses of assembly and whatever you may want to call it. The supreme document, which is the Constitution, also stipulated that by a resolution, not by a notice, not by an invitation, not by a query, by a resolution of 2/3 members of an assembly, the National Assembly, State Assembly, or whatever the case may be, a speaker shall be removed. Then what is Mr. Obasa? Why is Mr. Obasa confusing himself with not being properly impeached or was impeached and not removed, and trying to confuse unsuspecting members of the public? He was removed by the same authority that appointed him as speaker. He was appointed by speaker by majority member of the Lagos Assembly, and he was removed by majority member. All that was required to get Mr. Obasa removed should have been 26 members of the House of Assembly. But as at the morning he was removed, 32 members signed, where 5 others later come to join to endorse their action, signed for his removal as the Lagos Assembly Speaker. And like he said, it is not a monarchical office. I said it's not his father's inheritance. Why is he not hell-bent on remaining the Speaker, even though he remains removed in the eye of the law and there is a new Speaker in the Assembly? He knows what the law says. and he also claims he's a lawyer, then he should know that the assembly member have the power to appoint a speaker. In actual fact, when he talks about fair hearing as a word, the fair hearing that Mr. Obasa requires now should be before the various anti-corruption agencies and security agencies that may be investigating the allegations that have been leveled against him. The assembly, as empowered by the law, can even under the most frivolous condition remove you as a speaker. In actual fact, you can be removed as a speaker even for wearing face cap instead of wearing maybe your Babariga or your native cap. That is how frivolous or petty the law empowers the assembly, and it is about who leads us. You are first the leader of members of the House of Assembly, and that is what gives you the position of the number 3 in the hierarchy of state, because if you are not elected by members of the House of Assembly, you cannot even be in the hierarchy of state. So it was properly removed by the law, by morality, by fairness, by equity. And if he's uncomfortable with this as a citizen, rather than sitting in the GRA and instigating people against the assembly, I think the right thing for him to do as a lawyer is to approach the court to challenge the process of its impeachment.
Does he actually have a stand, or does he have something he can actually challenge or go to court with? If he goes to court, what is the end result going to be like?
Well, for me, I do not see from, I'm not a lawyer, but from all I've read about what the law says about this removal of a speaker or impeachment of a governor or whatever, or particularly about this current situation, I don't think he has anything he's taken to court other than trying to buy time, for himself. But that does not change the fact that the assembly is now under a new leadership of Honorable Mojisola Miranda, who is now the speaker, unanimously elected by members of the assembly to take the ship of the assembly. So you can go to court. It's traditional for lawyers to go to court, or even on the most frivolous grounds. We've seen judges penalizing lawyers for bringing matters that ordinarily should not appear before court before them in the past. So this may end up as one of those matters that the court may sanction one lawyer or two for if brought before the court.
Okay. So should we be worried somehow that there's going to be chaos or there's going to be problems at the State House of Assembly with the way he's going about the matter?
There will be no violence whatever from what I have seen. I live in Lagos and I am very familiar with the structure. In fact, one of the elements that suggest chaos and anarchy around the seat of government in Lagos in the past was the ascension of Mr. Obasa into that speakership position. Before Mr. Obasa became speaker, the Lagos State House of Assembly is a place of the people. Remember, this is a public institution where the people should have access to public hearing, to witness sittings and some other activities of the House. When Mr. Obasa became the speaker, he built a wall of Jericho around the House of Assembly. From the main gate of the Assembly, he went miles ahead to erect a barricade in the name of a gate, against the Assembly. Not only did he do that, Mr. Obasa, even within the Assembly, create demarcation, create structures that, almost made the Assembly raise fence higher than necessary. If you get to Lagos House of Assembly today, for anyone who is familiar, it looks more like, a garrison building than a legislative house. You've seen, House of Assembly, you've seen what they look like. But in the case of the walls around the prevented the people from having access, and even within the complex of the Assembly, Mr. Obasa was creating walkways for himself, for honorable members, for the staff, for ordinary citizens, creating all sorts of divisive structures. So there's nothing that suggests that there's going to be any violence anywhere. There's no tension anywhere. Everything about the assembly is moving smoothly under the new leadership of Speaker Mudashiru. And I believe strongly that Mr. Obasa understands that it's a popular decision and is at liberty at any time to resume duty as a member of the assembly representing Agege State Constituency in the House of Assembly.
Now, do you actually see, because the part of what people are asking is, why impeach him while he was out of the country? That maybe that was a conspiracy, or it was well hatched that they waited for him, that plan has been on for a while, and so they had to wait for him to leave the country, or, you know, wait for a day that he won't be there before the impeachment was done. That wouldn't that be amounted to conspiracy? And the fact that he wasn't present, does that count? Does he have to be there for an impeachment or removal to be valid?
No, it doesn't have to be there. Like I said, the law is very clear. The process of removing the Speaker of the Assembly is only by resolution of 2/3 members of the Assembly. No other condition is attached. And he should even ask himself, why is he always on holiday when business of state are going on? Remember, one of the allegations leveled by members against Honorable Obasa is the fact that he's always absent on duty, always coming late to important sittings. If you witness the sitting of the State House Assembly, a very important sitting for that matter, the presentation of the 2025 appropriation bill by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, it was on live broadcast for hours. In actual fact, not only was the governor seated, leaders of their party were seated, members of the public were seated, the media have been there since morning. Before this man, arrogantly walked into the chambers of their seat, later in the afternoon on that day.
All right. We'll get to the kind of leader in which he was, the kind of speaker, because many persons have said maybe he was possibly the most powerful in recent times as far as Lagos State House of Assembly is concerned, and his relationship, especially with the executive, with Jide Sanwo-Olu, and as a speaker. Now, that incident you referred to, in that day rather, the appropriation budget presentation, the appropriation bill for 2025 for Lagos State, the presentation in which it took hours before the man came out. And some will say that it was intentional, that he just wanted to show he's in charge. And that day, part of what he said, many persons have said maybe it wasn't necessary. You were at a budget presentation. Just talk about the state, the progress, what you have to do as State House of Assembly, and if you have a message for the governor, the executive, and the people of Lagos State, just let it be. But instead, he was talking about how he has a right to be governor, and that it wouldn't be a sin, and that he came from a prestigious family, he doesn't need the endorsement of anybody, and that those persons that has come before him, they are not better than him. And many persons say maybe that was the straw that brought the camel back. Did you see that being instructive in the impeachment that followed that particular presentation?
So it's beyond that. Like I said, part of the reason given by the Assembly is his lateness to duty, most times is absent. Most times when the House have serious businesses to debate, he comes in 2-3 p.m. in the afternoon, like an emperor, just like he demonstrated on the day of that budget presentation. He sat, spoke, and behaved as if he was actually the leader of government in the state. Quite unfortunate of somebody to do that even while a governor is deputy. The who are in the hierarchy of state number 1 and 2 were seated. And like I said, the House members have tolerated for a long time the excesses of Mr. Obasa, to the extent that, the contracts as alleged are awarded unilaterally by the former speaker. Decisions are taken unilaterally in regard of finances by the former speaker without consultation to the relevant, structures within the assembly, and all sort of behaviors that negate the principles of a true leader, which former Speaker Obasa was expected to represent. And you see, the politics of wanting to be governor, anybody who knows Lagos and the ruling party in Lagos, we know that it is beyond holding the microphone and sitting on the seat of the Speaker of the House of Assembly for anyone to be candidate of the APC in Lagos State. I don't know, maybe he thought that position was enough for him to bully anybody into getting the governorship ticket of his party, but he only demonstrated an improper knowledge of history of the Lagos political system of his political party by declaring if he was qualified to be governor and all those grandstanding he was doing during the day of that budget presentation. But like I said, the issues around the leadership of Mr. Obasa as Speaker between 2015 and 2023 were more than having governorship ambition or not. There were serious issues of accountability. There were serious issues of punctuality to work, morality, and there were serious issues that cannot just be swept under the carpet in the name of political ambition that Mr. Obasa was challenged with while he was Speaker of the Assembly. Okay,
Mr. Obasa was actually Speaker for 10 years. Let's say he was for 10 years, and somehow you said the House had tolerated him for a long time. Was his period as a speaker, was it all about tolerance? Was the House tolerating everything? Was there nothing good that can be pointed out to say that, okay, this is what Obasa did or what he has been doing?
A lot were pointed out in the course of his removal as speaker. Lateness to duty, high-handedness, lack of transparency, allegations of misappropriation of funds belonging to assembly, among others, were listed during the motion for his removal as speaker. But like I said, that the House over-tolerated him. There's this way the governing party in Lagos works. They have a lot of leadership structures, from the supreme leader who is now the President Bola Tinubu. They have the Governor's Advisory Council. They have state political party structure. And a lot of times we have realized as citizens that even when there were issues, these structures have to move in and appeal for truth and accept and expect that there will be changes. In the prior to the election of a new speaker in June 2023, there were attempts by members to prevent Mr. Obasa from being re-elected as Speaker of the Assembly. A lot of people opposed his coming back. In actual fact, there were about 2 other persons who rose to contest for the same position in the build-up to that inauguration of the 10th Assembly. But as usual, the party came in, prevailed on them, and other persons who also have grievances against his emergence as a speaker, and appealed that they rallied behind him, and he was re-elected as Speaker of the Assembly. Getting that power again, he felt, well, it is a position of being Alpha and Omega, and began to disregard not just members, even leaders of his political party. We have seen accusations, and have seen reports from the Governor's Advisory Council, which is the group of elders within the APC in Lagos State. Everyone has endorsed the removal of this man as the speaker. So you can understand how long he was tolerated to have gotten to that point.
Okay, yeah, you answered the part where I said, was he tolerated all through? And I asked also, was there nothing good Obasa did during his time as a speaker?
What should be good about being a Speaker of the House of Assembly is not just God. As Speaker, even as legislator, you are not expected to go and be building bridges and building fences and walls. The primary duty is a legislative business, providing oversight for the activities of the executive, making laws that will enable law and order, good governance in the state. But to the credit of the leader, except for few members who, in their wisdom, have brought out bills that seek to enhance governance in Lagos State, and of course also represent the interests of their various constituencies. Mr. Obasa's leadership was characterized by the behavior of an emperor. If there's anything he wants to tell you he has done today, it will be what he's doing in his constituency in Agege, using the influence of his position to take projects to his state constituency more than every other constituency in the state. Agege is not the only local government in Lagos State, but if he wants to boast about what he has done now, all his references will be what he has done in Agege, not even in Ojo, where he's now claiming to have come from because of his governorship ambition. But for me, the ultimate achievement of a parliament should have been how much it has been able to ensure transparency in government, how much it has been able to provide oversight for the activities of the executive, how much it has been able to call to order the executive when they are not doing the part of law and order, what the law expects from them. It's already a government segment. If you know the style he operated with, he was operating the assembly as if the assembly was another government in Lagos. Not knowing that there's a government headed by a governor in Lagos, which he gave no regard to at every given time.
Okay. Also, you talked about the tolerance. He was tolerated for a very long time. Shouldn't this be a wake-up call to us all? I mean, you said there was a time in 2023 when the House didn't want him to come on, but the party spoke and somehow they rallied people behind him and he came back again as the speaker. So isn't it time for us to actually, when we see something that is not working out, the person should be out? It shouldn't take so long. So are we going to rework on the strategies and all the ways we do things now in the assembly? Is this like a wake-up call to the House of Assembly of Lagos State?
It is definitely a wake-up call on the new leadership led by Honorable Miranda that citizens are now interested. You could see the jubilation that marred the removal of Mr. Obasa as the Speaker of the Lagos Assembly. Now, the public beyond Lagos have become interested in what is happening in that assembly. It tells that the people are now interested in transparency and accountability and good leadership as far as the case of the assembly is concerned. It is also a call, just like you mentioned, on the party on whose these individuals are elected, not to sit back and say, these are normally supposed to be servant representatives of the party. But a lot of time, the moment they get into position, they want to become lord over their political party. The party, like it used to be in the olden days, should even be in charge of giving directives as far as governance, good governance is concerned, as far as policies and programs of the party are concerned, to the assembly to implement. A lot of times the parties sit back and allow these people to become emperor and become so powerful to the extent that they even give no regard to the party on whose platform they are elected. So it shows the failure of the political parties. Sometimes when you look at the conduct of governors, the members of the assembly, even National Assembly, you realize that a lot of them have grown bigger than their political parties. So the party must take its position by ensuring that it has authority over members who are elected into position, either you're a governor, you're a member of assembly or whatever, to ensure that you do the right thing at all times. And when you are not doing the right thing, the party should call its members, who are the majority in the assembly, to sanction such erring officer, whether you are speaker or deputy, rather than allow them to become so cancerous, that they become so powerful that they become an ill, not to the assembly, but to the society.
Okay. Okay, also, I would like to come from the part of Obasa. He actually alleged that policemen were sent to his apartment during the removal, stopping his family members, preventing his family members from having access to and fro his house. Was that actually necessary?
There are no evidence to that. He was not removed in his house. He was removed on the floor of the House of Assembly, and having been removed as Speaker, I think what is expected of him morally and constitutionally is to return every asset belonging to the state in his custody as Speaker. He's no longer the Speaker, so he has no right to remain in the official quarter of the Speaker. That place is now going to be occupied by Speaker Mojisola Miranda and other principal officers who may also have allocation to official quarters. So that he wants to remain in the official apartment of the Speaker is immoral and is illegitimate. And I'm not sure there are any visuals or any evidence to show that his family members were locked out of the official quarters. If he has evidences, I think this should have been brought to the media for the public to see. But I think it is also morally wrong for him to remain in the official quarter of the Speaker when he's just an ordinary member representing Agege in the Lagos State Assembly.
Yeah, while responding, especially on his arrival from the U.S. at his Ikeja GRA house, Mr. Obasa said, in denying some of those allegations against him, he said, is it possible to construct an ordinary gate with 16 billion naira? It is not the wall of Jericho or the wall that demarcated the United States of America and Mexico. How can they say we bought one Hilux bus for 1 billion naira each, and that we bought 40 pieces for 40 billion naira? I am not disturbed or perturbed, and I am not afraid. I will debunk all the allegations leveled against me by the House. And by the way, yesterday, the Lagos State leadership, Lagos State House of Assembly leadership, and the spokesperson representing them said possibly a probe will be instituted, but they are waiting for him to resume. How do you connect that?
Well, for me, I'm not into construction, but at least I've been involved in building 1 or 2 blocks in 1 or 2 places personally in the past. And I know that if it is the structures that we are seeing in Lagos Assembly, there's no way anybody would have even constructed that with 3 billion naira, talk less of being 7 billion. So, but these are allegations.
Right.
These are allegations against Mr. Obasa. They are true or not will be determined when he faced the EFCC or ICPC or other security agencies that may want to investigate him in due time. So it is not within our power to determine how much really the cost of Hilux is or was bought by. But these are weighty allegations because they are, as I speak, there are not less than 4 petitions that have been written by various groups, notable groups within Lagos State, against the leadership of Mr. Obasa while he was Speaker on allegation of corruption.
Right.
So I think the proper place where he will debunk these allegations is not at those rallies and Owambe that is organizing.
Do you think he's intentionally doing that?
Assembly or the EFCC?
All right. Do you think he's intention? By the way, let me just take this. That the spokesperson for the House, Olukayode Ogundipe, has said that on the allegations against him, when he is on the ground physically, those ones will be taken care of. There are other things we have also been hearing about, different amounts of money being spent by him. We felt we didn't know how they got the record of those, but the ones we have, when he's seated with us, action will be taken. This is from the spokesman of the House. Now, those rallies that you talked about, those functions that he has been speaking or he has spoken, do you think it's intentional by Mr. Obasa to just whip up public sentiment in his favor, or is just somebody fighting for his political life?
Well, a lot of people may be seeing this from afar. For those of us who are very close to government activities in Lagos and the politics of Lagos, I will tell you in plain terms that there is no amount of rallies that Mr. Obasa can organize that can bring public sympathy on his side. The truth is that he has lost public sympathy long before now. He has lost, the respect that office should ordinarily command long before now because of his approach to leadership. So there's no amount of rally that he can organize that can actually bring, I don't see it anyway, bringing public sympathy in his favor, because this is a man who in the past have lost public sympathy and command little or no respect from ordinary citizens who should really be. We also the widespread jubilation that marred, his removal as the Speaker of the Lagos State Assembly.
Right.
On the day he was removed.
Now, we now have the Lagos State House of Assembly now has a new speaker, Mojisola Meranja, by the way, who was deputy speaker at some point, and she assumed, office, and it was more like, like with pomp and pageantry in a grand style, even which was not really, the woman was just strolling into office, but a retinue. In that video that has gone viral now, I think we have it. We allow you to see it. You could see a retinue of House members following him. Her arrival and the way she went to her office and all of these things. In fact, some of the House members were hype men, shouting her praise, telling her you could see them on our screens, and that we are with you. Many of them were praying in different, tone of every religion that they know, and all of those things. One would say these are the people too, possibly, who were like supporters of Mudashiru Obasa when the going was good, and they are the same people now hyping Madam Speaker to say, we are with you, we are your supporter, praying for her, led her to the office. In fact, till she sat down, all of them were there. What does this say about even the constitution of the House of Assembly? Are these guys that they are just doing this, that did this, is it a sign of switching of allegiance, or they just feel this is a breath of a fresh air?
Well, in politics, there's no permanent friend, there's no permanent enemy. What brings politicians together is their permanent interest. So whatever loyalty they are demonstrating to the new speaker is a part of politics. It is traditional to politicians. And if tomorrow they find the fallout of favor with the new speaker, you will not be surprised that you find them, singing praise of another person. But the jubilation was beyond even members. The day this man was removed, you will see jubilation even by staff, by members of the assembly. You see jubilation even by members of his party, so it is beyond the 40 members of the assembly. It was a popular decision, but like I told you, whatever the members have demonstrated, the honorable members have demonstrated, like we've seen all over the place, it's just traditional for politicians. It is about their interest, and that to them supersedes every other logical reason.
All right, we will continue, especially some will say the relationship of Mr. Muda Obasa with the Lagos State Governor, Jide Sanwo-Olu, his relationship with the GAC in Lagos, the system, the political system, and even a very high-ranking member of that party in Lagos, Fuad Oki, has spoken on the matter to say he had it coming. He has been called, he has been, spoken with, especially, and even when Tinubu was in Lagos, so many persons tried to see the president to say, this is the situation with this guy before that impeachment happened. But all of those questions will be answered after this break. Mr. Lawson, please hang in there. We'll be back with you.